I swear, my God.
Pick your sister! Your sister! You, sit inside. Please hold him fast.
Collect 1,000 Ghana cedis from Musa to you. Is that true or false?
I almost fainted. These people in uniform.
I don't know anything about that. If there are some entities who are doing it, to be frank, I don't know.
On many occasions, when I wanted to pay the bill, the way they would...
Believe me, I have all the evidence and I can prove it.
We are calling for increased collaboration, and he's the one that we are collaborating with as far as this operation is concerned. This is Anas, Aremiyawo Anas, and I expect you all to comport yourself and put in your maximum best.
This part of my work is interesting but very dangerous.
Pick your sister! Your sister!
Today I'm on a sting operation together with the Ghana police to bust some rogues who have been stealing government fertilizers meant for poor farmers.
The sweet, smooth product called chocolate serves different purposes: an antidepressant, stimulant and aphrodisiac, among others. Little wonder the average man is estimated to consume as much as 11.7 pounds of the product annually, yet many are those who have sadly so engaged in acts that threaten the yield of a critical and important national crop as cocoa. In March 2011, we unmasked the faces of security officials who were engaged in the smuggling of cocoa across Ghana's western borders. It was captured in our piece dubbed "In the Interest of the State." At the end, while some were duly rewarded, others threatened to curse us to death, and some cocoa buying companies, caught complicit in the smuggling, banned. The case is still pending in court, and we are certain justice would be served. This time, our quest to ensure that cocoa retains its place as one of the major foreign exchange earners for the country led us on another mission. Our focus was the farmer, the rural farmer, whose sweat and toil has sustained Mother Ghana over the years. In the interest of the state, had sought to unmask the faces behind numerous smuggling activities across Ghana's borders with La Côte d'Ivoire and the involvement of security forces. This time, the Tiger Eye Special Investigative Team has been investigating issues from the cocoa farmers' perspective in a documentary dubbed "The Dawns of the Forest." We descended into the villages, slept and lived with the cocoa farmers in order to find out their problems as far as planting, nurturing and harvesting of cocoa are concerned. We discovered that it was not only the security officers who were involved in acts that undermined massive cocoa yields for the country. There were some prominent people within civil society who had formed syndicates and mafias that were engaged in activities aimed at sabotaging the nation. Their actions have often led to the loss of millions of dollars to Mother Ghana. Recognizing that cocoa makes tremendous contribution to the country's gross domestic product (GDP), the government has introduced a special package for cocoa farmers involving the provision of free pesticide and other vital agricultural inputs.
A record deal of $1.2 billion successfully syndicated trade finance facility for the Ghana Cocoa Board for the 2009-2010 purchasing season.
Thus, the National Fertilizer Subsidy System was introduced by government.
We promise that we'll make use of what you have given us to the benefit of the hardworking cocoa farmers. Thank you very much.
Millions of dollars went into the purchase of these inputs to redeem the aging trees, restore the poor soil and cure the diseased crops. This syndicate works fast and hard to undermine the subsidy program at great cost to the national economy as well as the livelihood of hundreds of thousands of cocoa farmers and their dependents.
State where the government will never come to see into our problem. Okay. They have been here in my farm. They came here with a delegation of about seven people. They came here and talked to me, asked me what I need, all those things up to today. It's about 2 years. Nothing.
The Dawns of the Forest from specialized fraudulent networks headed by key officials within the cocoa growing areas to steal these subsidized inputs and sell them to foreigners from Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Nigeria and Togo. At the heart of this conspiracy to rob the Ghanaian farmer are specially appointed input officers put in charge of the distribution of a system introduced by government. Now, let's explore how some individuals have ganged up to destroy one of the foundations of Ghanaian economy, cocoa. The Tiger Eye team moved into action, posing as rich alajis and businessmen from neighboring African countries and began the search for the specially approved fertilizers, fungicides, pesticides and other agricultural inputs reserved for Ghanaian farmers. We soaked ourselves in northern tradition. 4 different teams made up of 3 members were put together to tackle the situation head on. We had the leopard team, the scorpion team, the chameleon team, the Joint Eagles and Tiger team. The team was headed by our own Anas Arimiao Anas, alias Babatunde.
A word from the wise, don't try to make life on your own. Remember that Jah just by your side. For I was a soul who was lost, and my life was in dismay. For among evil forces in which I played.
We strategically chose Kejetia, the business hub of Kumasi, the Ashanti regional capital, as our operational base to connect to all cocoa growing areas within the Ashanti, Western and Bunahafo regions. Our main objective was to 1. Unmask the faces behind the illegal sale of agric inputs provided by the government, trace the line of agents in the various syndicates, identify and expose the lots of the syndicates, gather hardcore evidence which would lead to action against the syndicates, and 5. Collaborate with the Ghana Police contingent to conduct a swoop on the syndicate. Headed by the police's able commander, Reverend Adania Mayao of the Buffalo unit of the Ghana Police Service, the team rolled its hidden camera into action to gather hardcore evidence. Now the story. The Chameleon team began their work by navigating through Kejetia Market, met Kwejo, who connected them to Philip, also known as Edward, an agrochemical shop attendant at Kejetia, who offered to sell us some sachet of Redomil gold. He, however, promised to get us more and even connect us to other sellers. This eventually led us to Paul at Osiem in the Eastern region, who promised to do everything to get us some of the insecticides.
It will buy our no school be or Ben office. Okay. So the school no train to who's your banana, no I to say yama. Okay.
We, however, couldn't transact the scheduled business with him, since Philip, our middleman, witnessed our cover blown later in the story. But the Tiger team was not daunted by this setback. Thus, while they were working on Philip, they simultaneously worked to uncover Yao, an agrochemical shop attendant at Kejetia, Kumasi. Yao made us understand that he could get us some of the products. He eventually got us some of the Redomil Gold class insecticide worth 500 cedis and promised to connect us to get some agric officers in New Edubiase in the Ashanti region.
Now can Edubiase the Ejamefo Sandy. No oye officer no officer ni wa. One could take him, one of us, one deputy, Nancy call Mammy, CP, must no jump on the board, Mammy, 750. Nam to be 950. What rough.
After successfully transacting business with Yao and Kwejo, who seemed to do the business on a small scale, we shifted our attention to Akwesi, a taxi driver known by most outsiders as a major player in the sale of government-subsidized agricultural input. He got his supplies from the agric officer at Sankore and the DC of Isunafo North District. For some unfathomable reason, none of the transactions we had with him appeared on camera. He even once tried outwitting us by sending his accomplice to a meeting we had scheduled himself.
Because Sana, a moment was and you buy a camino. By 1 year 9,000. Oh, what's the price? The menstrual price.
While this transaction was going on with the Chameleon team, the Scorpions were also making contact to get to the other big guys in the business. They met Mama Baba, an agrochemical shop owner at Kejetia Market, and expressed their desire to buy some government-subsidized agrochemical input.
If you go to get about 100 million. Okay, you can give me like 2 weeks. You get all of them. Okay. You want to bring the money? Because if you bring me the money from now going in, I must work on it. Oh, okay. Your name, please? My name is Mama Baba.
After the 2 weeks, they came back to see her, and she took them to see her friend and ally, Braije, alias Fire. He is one of the big guys who do it on a large scale. Fire has various places where he keeps his stuff. He has even created a special warehouse in his house where you can window shop and also test the quality of a stolen product he would sell to you. Even his living room was bristling with the products.
It means you'll be living one bag. You'll be living one bag. Yeah. She told us you have only 25, so we prepared for 25.
On the first day, we successfully transacted business with him, worth 9,800 cedis with Braije. Meanwhile, the Leopard team had traveled to the Western region to bring in hardcore evidence. On arrival, they met a snail farmer, Ninja Haruna, a don in the smuggling business who used his snail farming as a cover. Smart in the game, Ninja Haruna had reservations about us initially, but we managed to transact business with him anyways.
I swear, my God. Hey! Why are you how are you? But why not the banner? So already on the buy from you up, Sasa Kusim. Maybe say a different sack. What I said, and I say, 5 sack, I'm leaving children. What I said, all the people are wasting. You find the banner in a pussy. Finish. So, me, I did it. Yeah, they share with you. Only one service. Share 2 bottles. To be my 10.
He bought 25 cartons of Ridomil Gold Plus worth 22,500 cedis. After the transaction, Haruna brought on board a man popularly called 7,000. One carton is sold for 150 Ghana cedis. Therefore, the 6 carton 7,000 gave out is worth 900 Ghana cedis. While the leopard team was chasing after Haruna and his gangs, they were also navigating through the villages to find out the plight of the cocoa farmers who were finding it hard to get the needed agro input to support their aging and diseased cocoa trees. This has left many farmers mired in poverty and distress.
Cocoa fertilizer and chemicals.
Meanwhile, this is the chain of distribution of the insecticides for government mass spraying. While government is spending an amount of 4 cedi per sachet of cocoa insecticides, agricultural officers steal from the farmers and sell this insecticide as cheap as 50 pesos to middle agents simply because they do not buy it. For every carton, which usually contains 400 sachets of insecticides, agric officers who are able to sell one carton makes a cool sum of 200 cedis without any strings attached. These middle agents then sell it to the agrochemical shops at 1 cedi per sachet and makes profit of 200 cedis for the carton. Therefore, when an agricultural officer is able to sell 1,000 cartons of insecticides, he makes 200,000 cedis. When the middle agent is able to sell the same 1,000 cartons, he makes a profit of 200,000 cedis, while the agrochemical shop also makes profit of 800,000 cedis from the sale of the same 1,000 cartons. Meanwhile, back in Kumasi, the Ashanti regional capital, the Scorpions, true to their words, had gone 2 weeks later to Braeje to buy more goods. This time, their aim was to find out how his empire works. They requested for 50 cartons of fertilizers, but he said he could only provide them with 32 cartons. Not even the not for sale inscription on them could deter them. Subsequently, he brought in another ally, Kofi Ajiman, who happened to be his brother and partner in the illegal sale. Kofi Ajiman was to provide the remaining 18 cartons of the product. We were to pay a huge sum of 28,800 cedis, almost 300 million old cedis, and this was a major setback for the team. Eventually, we paid a cash deposit of 5,000 cedis and a fake check of 2,380 cedis. While these negotiations were ongoing, the Scorpion team made yet another discovery. It was discovered that Kofi Ajiman's wife was part of a syndicate and that she had her own goods which she sold to foreigners. Impressed by huge purchases, they offered to help us across the Ivorian border with the goods. Towards the end of our mission, it came to light that Mama Baba was the leader while Brer J, Kofi Achiman and his wife did the actual sale, and that they all had connections in Cote d'Ivoire and Nigeria. The Joint Eagles and Tiger team, who were tasked with uncovering the syndicates in Bunahafo region, traveled to Goso, a cocoa growing community in the Esunafo North district. On arrival, they met this young and vibrant guy called Piquet. Piquet is the biggest dealer in town and is well connected. He agreed to supply us with some of the goods. In our first transaction with him, we bought goods worth 1,000 cedis and headed back to Kumasi. 2 days later, Piquet brought us the goods and he promised to bring some more if we still needed some. A week later, he sent his accomplice Morgan to deliver another consignment. Now it was established that Piquet was also a member of a syndicate. Piquet also does the business on a small scale, using his drugstore as a decoy. We bought goods worth 500 cedis in our second transaction.
About the end of this
A few days after the second transaction, Piquet called to say he had some goods and so he was sending Morgan to deliver them. Interestingly, it was the day that Tiger and the Buffalo unit were poised to hit our target. They arrested all of us in front of the Ghana Cocoa Board, the same organization that regulates the cocoa industry in Ghana.
You, sit inside. Please hold him fast. All these agrochemicals is for the Ghana Cocoa Board, which has been given to the CODAPEC for distribution to farmers free of charge. But here is the case We don't know where they come by these agrochemicals and they sell them.
After his arrest, he was asked to call PK to come over for his money.
We shall give you your phone. You tell him that they say they need more, so you are coming to take more.
PK, who did not know what was going on, also came and got arrested by the police. At the same time, the Leopard team, together with the Buffalo unit, headed to the western region for Haruna. The feared and dreaded Ninja Haruna, before the law, looked like vegetable. He promised to lead us to pick other members of his syndicate. Together with a contingent of the Ghana Police Service, Ninja Haruna led us on a raid to arrest all those involved in the illegal sale of agrochemicals and related products. The first on his list was a man popularly known as 7000. When the team got to the house, his wife denied his presence.
We want to find out, check and see if he's there or not. We want to make sure ourselves.
Why? Only Anna. I don't know about her, so yeah. Sure. Yeah, 7,000.
And you said you are not there. Pick him.
7,000. Oh, so buy me.
My friend.
You wanna let go? Hey, 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 I know sometimes.
After the police had successfully arrested PK, Morgan, Haruna, and 7,000 the previous day, it was now time to get the big guys. The day started off with a briefing from the Buffalo unit commander with his men.
Those in the unmarked vehicle with the GX number, you are going to follow us at least a distance about 100 meters away from us, pretending you are not part of us. There is going to be an elite car which is going to spot the very person. And then the second car, which is a marked vehicle, will be a backup vehicle so that in case of any emergency, and they will come to our aid to assist us. It is going to be a very simple operation.
Thereafter, it was all action. It all started with that of Ajiman. Ajiman had brought the goods to Kumasi as we had arranged. While the transaction was ongoing, Ajiman had strategically placed the goods at a vantage point so that if he was arrested, the goods will not be found on him. When Ajiman began to suspect foul play, he quickly called his driver to run away with the goods. But Tiger would not let him go with the booty. After Ajiman's arrest, we called Akwesi, his accomplice, that he should come for his share. When Akwesi reached Kumasi and repeatedly failed to reach Ajiman on his phone, he suspected foul play and ran away.
It's currently switched off. Please try later.
Tiger, together with the Buffalo unit commander, then stormed Akwesi's house at midnight, where he was hiding in the roof. We found several empty cartons of the insecticides in his room, and he was made to carry them. The team then moved to Ajay's house. His arrest did not come easy.
Pick your sister! Your sister!
The The goods meant to be exported to Nigeria were heaped at a corner of the house. A careful scrutiny of the house showed that they had thrown the agricultural input into a nearby house.
Oh, Papa, what are you looking to give you? For the first time, no coming for. If you are for the moment, you will take I'm surprised. When you start doing okay, we did a million. Why no man is good? And show me. One of our people. No, so when I'm so oh, buy you buy out if you then you see a face. Any of course. Okay.
After searching their rooms, the police found several cartons of the agro products.
Madam, now right from the beginning, we'll come in 22 pesos.
Ajay confessed to the crime and we were all taken to the police station. Ajuman's wife was however spared because she was nursing a baby. Like the octopus, Anna seems to have his tentacles all over the place. His solemn pledge to this country is that he will not relent in his pursuit of nation wreckers so long as they don't get tired or at least scared of being caught one day. Until then, his cameras will continue to be on recording mode. Meanwhile, we are in court with all these syndicates and will ensure that justice prevails.